Everyone gets a dirty look now and then, and we usually think little of it, especially if we deserved it. For most of us, it's soon shrugged off. But in many places and beliefs around the world, the evil eye is taken very seriously and requires immediate action to avoid harm. If you like true stories of the strange, macabre, and paranormal, then please click on that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you can be notified every time a new episode of Grim Events is uploaded. Without further ado, let's talk about the evil eye. So, the evil eye is a human look believed to cause harm to someone or something. The supernatural harm may come in the form of a minor misfortune or more serious disease, injury, and even death. You've heard the old saying, if looks could kill. The evil eye is well known throughout history. It is mentioned in ancient Greek and Roman texts, as well as in many famous literary works, including the Bible, in the Quran, and in Shakespeare plays. The evil eye is essentially a specific type of magical curse and has its roots in magical thinking and superstition. Let's say that a person experiences bad luck, ill health, accident, or some other unexpected calamity, perhaps a drought or an infectious disease. Before science could explain weather patterns and germ theory, any bad event for which there was not an obvious cause might be blamed on a curse. Curses, including the evil eye, are an answer to the age-old question of why bad things happen to good people. Belief in the power of the eyes is so powerful that an eye affliction has come to suggest evil and bad luck. People who are cross-eyed, have uncontrollable eye twitches or spasms, or who merely have a prominent squint have been shunned and feared as provoking bad luck, especially among those who work in dangerous occupations such as fishing and mining. Those with unusually close-set eyes or eyes of different colors were often suspected of having the evil eye. Babies and children are said to be especially susceptible to harm from the evil eye, and in many countries, including Greece, Romania, and India, praising a child publicly is sometimes considered taboo, for the compliment will draw the attention of the evil eye. In order to ward off the evil eye, parents of a thoughtlessly praised child may ask the person who gave the compliment to immediately spit in the child's face. Sick, I know, but they have a good reason for doing this. They believe that bringing them down a peg by spitting in their face will negate the praise that they got, and so there will be no need for the evil eye to be put upon the child. So, who has the evil eye? Maybe you do. Many believe that bad intention is not necessary, and that some people can cast an evil eye without even knowing it. If one person is believed to have the evil eye, other members of his or her family are often treated with suspicion, and any children are assumed to have the curse as well. And that brings me to a story I wanted to talk to you about out of Poland. Now, this is an old Polish story that's been passed down generation to generation. I'm going to make it as short as possible. It is a little long, so I'm going to condense it to make it quick. Long ago, a young boy named Casimir was born with the curse of the evil eye. When Casimir was only 3, he looked at his father's barns, and they burned to the ground. He looked at the trees, and they died. If the boy felt even the slightest tinge of anger, his glance would destroy. And whenever Casimir hurt someone or something, he grew angrier still, and his evil eye was even more dangerous. Casimir could do nothing to stop this, but he was kind-hearted, and so when he was old enough, he left his family's home. With an old family servant, Casimir traveled across Poland, searching for a place to live where he could harm no one. The servant loved the boy, and Casimir had never felt the slightest anger towards him, and so it seemed that the servant would be saved from the dangers of the evil eye. At last, the two found a stone house on the banks of a faraway river. The house was abandoned and far from any town. There they lived, behind windows blocked by stones and walls covered with thick ivy. For years they lived in peace and solitude. Casimir grew to manhood, and though he was lonely, he was too kind and generous to venture out into the world for fear he might hurt those that he saw. One evening in late autumn, on a cold, stormy night, Casimir and his servant sat by the fire, and Casimir wept with sadness. "I long to know people," he said, "but I dare not." Suddenly, a man's voice called through the doorway. "Please help us," he cried. "My wife is ill, and we cannot travel further tonight. We are lost, and the storm is terrible." The voice sounded like the voice of a good man, and this made Casimir happy. "So perhaps I will help this good man," he said. Before the servant could say a word, Casimir ran to the door. He looked at the stranger with all the kindness he could find in his heart. When the man survived his look, Casimir felt even happier. He invited the man and his wife and daughter into his home, and there, for several weeks, he helped the man nurse his wife back to health. During that time, he also fell deeply in love with the man's daughter, whose name was Malka. Before long, Casimir was happier than he had ever been, and it seemed the power of his evil eye had vanished. By the time the man's wife was healthy, Casimir and Malka had fallen in love, and they decided to marry. Casimir was filled with joy. He said nothing about his evil eye because he thought that the curse had been lifted. Now when he looked at the grass, it stayed bright green. When he looked at the trees, they kept their blossoms. Everything he looked upon glowed. He knew he had discovered a new life, and Casimir's servant was happy to know that his beloved boy, now a man, was cured. "You must have broken the curse of the evil eye," he told Casimir. Alas, one morning Casimir woke to the sound of men singing outside as they rowed a boat down the river. He felt angry at the sound, for he was exhausted from a long day's work. He went to the window to call the men to be quiet, but the moment he looked outside, the boat burst into flames. Casimir was devastated. He was afraid to turn and look at his wife, and he felt his heart breaking. But Casimir knew what he must do. He ran outside, and before anyone else had awoken, Casimir cut out his own eyes. Now he was blind. Although his wife was saddened by his blindness, Casimir felt so peaceful. He soon convinced her that all was well. He knew now that he truly had nothing to fear. The following spring, his wife gave birth to their first child, and Casimir thought he had found perfect happiness. But one night, another stormy autumn night, Casimir could not sleep. He kept thinking about his son and wishing he could, just for one moment, see the child. He thought, and at last decided he must restore his sight, if only for one day. He had buried his eyes in the loose dirt at the back of their house, and so with lightning streaking through the sky and rain falling in torrents, he stole to that place. He knelt down and began to dig, feeling his way along the ground. He dug and dug, feeling here, feeling there, searching for his eyes. He found a stone, a rock, a stick, but he could not find his eyes. He grew more and more frantic as he searched, and soon he was covered in mud and dirt. And still he dug. At dawn the next day, the servant found Casimir's body. He lay on the ground, dead of a heart attack, or so the doctor said. But the servant knew the truth. When he found Casimir's body, he saw an eye, its pupil pressed to the earth, and the servant knew that it was the look of the evil eye that has killed his beloved Casimir. So that is an interesting story that I had read that came out of Poland. I believe it was first written in 1600s is where the story first originated. I thought it was interesting, but you may be saying, okay, yeah, well, that's really old. It's superstition. It's a story. What does it have to do with today? Well, honestly, there is still people, like, even in the mainstream, that believe in the evil eye. Actually, here you go. Here's some TikTok clips talking about what happened and why they think they have the evil eye on them. one deal with the evil eye? The best way to deal with the evil eye is to avoid it in the first place. But the method varies by cultures, geographic region, and personal preference. In Puerto Rico, for example, newborns are often given a good luck charm called an azabache. Amulets can be worn to deter the evil eye, often using the color blue, symbolizing heaven or godliness, and an eye symbol. Charms, potions, and spells can be prepared. Garlic can be used to deter the evil eye, and some believe that just saying the word garlic offers protection. Often those who believe they have been harmed by the evil eye will seek out shamans, witch doctors, psychics, or other spiritual healers to remove the curse. The egg, a universal symbol of purity and birth, is said to absorb evil energies as it passes over the forehead and prone body of the victim. The egg is then broken over a bowl of water, and the resulting forms closely examined for any unusual shapes. An oval or eye shape seen in the yolk or whites is said to indicate that the evil eye's power has been successfully removed from the victim. Some claim that the gender of a person who casts the evil eye can be determined from the shapes. It is tempting to view the evil eye as an ancient, discredited belief that plays no role in our 21st century world. But we should keep in mind that the evil eye is not some old-fashioned superstitious belief of interest solely to antiquarians. The evil eye continues to be a powerful factor affecting the behavior of countless millions of people throughout the world. Though belief in the evil eye can be a harmless superstition, it can also be dangerous in some circumstances. Anytime one person believes that another has harmed them, whether naturally or supernaturally, intentionally or accidentally, there is the potential for deadly retribution. Like other accused witches and sorcerers over the centuries, many people have been attacked, beaten, and killed for casting the evil eye. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you, what is your thoughts on the evil eye? Do you believe in it? Do you think it's just an old superstition? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe so you can be notified every time a new episode of Grim Events is uploaded. You guys have a good rest of your day.